All the job guys back with you again. Actually, it's the job guy. No Nick, just Ryan today, but we got a pretty good job fill-in here. Mr. Eric Columbia. How you doing, buddy? Thanks for joining us, man.
Dude, just call me the Christian Cage of the podcast. I'm the surprise entrant for the Job Guys podcast tonight. So I'm coming in and I'm gonna speak a little bit more than Christian did tonight.
Yeah, he didn't do too much. In fact, you know, and some people may say that this is actually a bigger and better surprise than Christian Cage was. But we will get into that. Yes, we are here to talk about the AEW Revolution pay-per-view. Just got done. Second one. A lot of people believe that the first Revolution, Eric, a year ago, was the best pay-per-view AEW has done to date. That's probably right. You can maybe make an exception in there. This one, I don't know that it's going to be remembered that way, especially with the bang at the end. Or not so much of a bang. Dude.
The dud that happened tonight.
My
basically.
gosh. We are talking about, if you didn't see it, the exploding barbed wire death match. Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega, world title. This thing had some problems with it, which we will get into after we talk about the end. Eric, go ahead and explain to everybody what happened there after the match.
So, you know, when you are going to a 4th of July party, somebody tells your friend, all right, you're bringing the booze. The other person, you're in charge of the hot dogs. I need somebody to bring some solo cups. But Ryan, you're in charge of the pyro, man. I need you to go across, like here in New York where I am. I need you to go to Pennsylvania. I need you to go buy the most illegal, expensive, most explosive fireworks you can get. Bring them back. And then what do, Ryan, in this scenario? You blow the job.
No, you don't blow. No, you actually don't blow the job. Dude, what apparently whoever was in charge, Tony Khan, told that person, like you just said, you're in charge of the explosives. And he went to the grocery store and he picked up the 1985 mom special that she brings home for you when you're like 8 and you want fireworks, and she brings you a couple of those little sparklers and those little cones that shoot off, like,
and then those poppers that you got to throw at the ground. That's all they bought.
Dude, so Moxley wins the match. Interference. Again, we will get into the match in a second, and there were problems there as well. But they said 30 minutes, the whole ring is going to explode. Every pyrotechnic we have in the building is going to explode. They beat Moxley down, leave him for dead, handcuff his hands behind his back. He's about to blow. They got a countdown clock up on the big screen. Yeah. It gets down to like 20 seconds. And you got like Chernobyl freaking alarms going off and red alert sirens are going off. And all of a sudden,
out comes Eddie Kingston.
Eddie Kingston, the guy who used to be friends, now they're enemies. He's like, I can't see my friend get blown away. Lays
that's good storytelling too.
They got me. I was like, okay, I like this. Yeah. This is cool. 3, 2, Kingston lays over Moxley's head.
And then wet fart.
It wasn't even, dude, the Shockmaster is off the hook. He is off the hook for all of eternity. The explosion that sent him through that wall was bigger than this explosion. I'm talking 4 little sparklers came out of the 4 corners, and then like a poof. It was so bad that even the biggest AEW marks on earth sitting in the crowd booed it, dude.
They couldn't deny it. And this is where you feel bad for somebody like Eddie Kingston, because now he's going to get associated with this.
Yes.
And he is somebody who's battled his whole career to get on to this big scene. And I feel for him the most because Moxley's going to move on from this. No one in 10 years, 15 years, if AEW is still around at that point, no one's going to remember Moxley's role in this. They're going to remember that Eddie Kingston had to sell that dumpster fire. Like, he was left there all alone selling a no job, and he doesn't know. He can't see that there was a lack of fireworks. So he does his job, but it looks completely idiotic that he is laying there unconscious because of sparklers.
Dude, and you're exactly right. They made it as if it blew Kingston away. Like he was knocked out from the vicious sparklers that Goldberg, just stands in for 30 seconds before he comes to the ring every day.
Even Gilbert is not reacting.
Even Gilbert. No, I'm glad you mentioned that. I didn't even think about that. This was worse than Gilbert's entrance. That's how weak this was, dude.
Yeah.
That's how weak this was. And he had to lay there and sell it. And the announcer's like, oh, my gosh, he's unconscious. Right.
Because they have to do their job, too. Like, they can't acknowledge the fact that this sucks. They got to try to sell it. I feel bad for those guys, too. Tony Schiavone, he had a bunch of things in the night we'll get to where he oversold the crap out of it. And he had to do it again on this one, but there was no reviving that dead body in the middle of the ring because it was a clunker of a segment. And I feel bad. And this is what separates the AEWs and the WWEs. You're going to have all the smarks online. And I'm a little bit of that smart.
Sure.
And I appreciate AEW right now because it is different. But when you get to production quality and you get to all this kind of things, when you get to pay-per-views, you really see the difference between WWE and AEW in pay-per-views. You can have a good Dynamite, but when you have a pay-per-view when stuff's riding on the line, you think Vince McMahon is going to let his company look that bad in 2021? Not going to happen.
Right, and you can sit here and you can say WWE is too polished and it's too overproduced and blah, 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 and a lot of times it is, but this right here is the reason why it is so overproduced and everything is so micromanaged. So things like this don't happen. This is an all-time dud. I have something written earlier in the night during the Casino Battle Royal. Marco Stunt went to do a Hurricane Rana on the ring apron to Phoenix, I believe it is, and he fell off of him, and then Phoenix just ran 10 feet anyway and ran into the post and sold it. And I'm like, this is an entire episode of Botchamania by itself. One move is that bad. Yeah, that was elementary Botchamania compared to the end of this.
You can go even farther too in this scenario because people are even going to talk about the ladder match, and you have the big spot between Cody and one of the Lucha Brothers as well, where he takes the flip and takes the bump, but in the camera you can see the Murder Hawk and you can see Max Caster. You can see them watching. All they're doing is waiting for their spots. And they're not protected by the camera. So all it feels like is two guys wrestle, everybody else watches. Two other guys wrestle, everybody else watches. And they're getting caught on camera, which makes it look, here comes the F word, really fake. And it hurts the product because they don't have the production value to help protect those guys.
Yeah, and that's why Vince has the camera angles he has. That's why you constantly see the zooming on everything, so you don't see some of that stuff.
Even something as stupid as the action shot in WWE, where every time you see a chair, you see the camera moving with it as well.
That's what I mean,
It adds to it. It's dumb when you think about it, but to somebody who's younger, who's not, hasn't been watching wrestling for a decade or 2 decades, it sucks them in.
Yeah, and there was another very bad spot. We'll talk about that later. But let's get to the death match since we already talked about it. Barbed wire, exploding death match. None of us really knew what it was going to be. Turns out there's barbed wire in 3 sides of the ropes, not the one by the ring entrance, so you could get in and out. If you touched the rope, not only did you hit barbed wire, an explosion also went off, and they sold it like, it was Normandy. So that was going on. Moxley kind of cool. He drank out of a flask right before the match because he knew it was going to hurt, so he wanted to take the edge off. That was kind of cool.
And the camera work was bad on that too. So like you didn't even have him taking the sip out of the flask.
Right.
You saw this. You saw him going like this. You saw him
yeah.
barely take it out of his. So like even like the production value even hurt something as simple as that.
Well, and I mentioned that in our preview show. Everybody is so big on everything that used to be WCW now all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. Their director is Keith Mitchell, who was WCW's director. How many missed spots did they have through the years? How many bad camera angles did they have through the years?
Only thing they got well was the Psycho Sid breaking his leg snap job, right? That's the most well-documented thing in WCW's history.
Yeah. We already went into all of that too. So, the first thing, and they tried to sell it, like, so is it an exploding barbed wire killer bees match? Like, why is the referee in a beekeeper outfit? Or like,
it's supposed to be dangerous,
nuclear fallout here? Like, what are we doing? Yeah. What is he wearing? That was just ridiculous. So Mox does hit the ropes. You see fireworks go off.
Which that was a bad pyro job. The first one, the one that Moxley took. Then I thought they rebounded, and like the 2 or 3 that Omega took actually looked really well.
The last one where he went face first into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know, so part of the reason they were probably able to do this match is because it's technically an outside venue, right? I imagine if you were doing this inside an arena, it'd be a lot harder to get the permits to do this kind of pyro and all that kind of stuff, right? But the fact that it was outside probably hurt them because you can't control the breeze. And that's what happened almost every single time that they hit those pyro, because you can see the distance now between the pyro and the ropes. It was like a good 3 feet away from the ropes. And then the wind immediately blows the smoke. Probably something that they didn't account for.
Right.
Because they did it in a super controlled setting. And it's just stuff that you got to figure out. It just stinks for them that they learned that lesson on one of their bigger pay-per-views of the year.
Or they didn't practice it at all because there's no possible way they practiced the last one. And we're like, we got it. We nailed it. We're good. Yep. No, but good catch by you on the wind, too, because I did not think of that. And now that you mention it, absolutely. Great catch by you. There was a lot of that. Match wasn't terrible, but I'm just sitting here thinking the whole time, like, something crazy has to happen here. Because I've already seen this match. I've seen this exact match at Full Gear a year and a half ago. I saw this already. This is, I don't know. So they do one other spot. They're on the apron. Moxley does the paradigm shift onto some tables, which also have barbed wire on it. They had tables with barbed wire all around the ring as well. He nails him, and more explosives go off. But this time, these explosives are on the back far edges of the table, and they shoot off. Well, these dudes are 3 feet from that.
Which I didn't catch initially when they did the move. I didn't see how bad it was. But then in the replays is where I saw how bad it was. Again, production value.
Yeah.
Protect your guys. Protect your spots.
Protect your company. You know. Protect your business, man.
Exactly.
And then, and I don't know if a lot of people will notice this because they didn't notice it in their first death match that they had at Full Gear. Those barbed wire on those tables, I don't know if they all were, but on those tables, they were tipped because he sold it like he was stuck in them. But there was 0 cuts on his back afterward. There was 0 cuts on his arm afterward. So that was just a small thing. But when you're telling me there's barbed wire, and I do see him get cut here, then I move over here, and you're laying in a pile of barbed wire, and you come out with 0 cuts.
And he took off his shirt, too.
Yes.
We're like, And like the shirt, the cloth is what is sticking to the barbed wire. So he kind of did himself a disservice there, because you think it's going to be an extra hard bump because he's shirtless, but he has no cloth to grab to the barbed wire.
Yeah, and it just kind of took me out. So that happened. Go ahead, man. Go.
With that said, though, I do like, if you cut this match off after the 1, 2, 3, you don't get to the massive wet fart that was the pyro at the end.
Look at all of this crap.
This match is better. This was a better hardcore match than the Full Gear match in my mind. The psychology was better. I liked the emotion, and maybe because they have that built-in history from over like the last 8 months or a year, however long it's been going on, this feud on and off. But the thing that got me, and it happened throughout the entire night, we had 3 bat spots the entire night in 3 different matches. It started with Jericho, he had a bat spot. Sting had a bat spot. And then this one, the best bat spot of the night, in my mind, needed to end the match.
Yeah.
The exploding bat was gold. End it there. But we have too many times, and I know you're the false finish guy where you hate it. You don't like it. I don't mind a false finish. But this right here was a travesty, because I understand if you end it there, you end it with that bat spot, then I understand Chris Jericho's bat spot not going well. I understand Sting's bat spot not going well, because you ended it with the best bat spot of the night.
Yeah.
But they do a disservice there to Omega, because he had guys coming in, the Good Brothers coming in to help him, which I don't think that he needs, because I think Moxley is going away for a while. His wife is pregnant. I could see this being the spot where they write him off TV for a while. So you're wanting to make Omega look strong. I think he's going to have the title for a long, long time. But if he's going to be and excuse my French, the chicken shit heel all the time, and he's getting people to come help him, especially in a match like this setting, you're doing a disservice to your number 1 star.
Well, and again, whoever is buying their gimmicks, not only did he buy bad fireworks, he also bought a bad bat or 3. I mean, we got to check the BB core on some of these things. You get some Eastons or something, because these bats
where's my East Bay catalog?
Exactly.
Back in circa 2003.
Yeah, where is that?
I would have got something a lot better.
Yeah, is that titanium? What is that? Graphite? Yeah.
And I know Amansky was defense, but it's not Amansky approved.
That's right. And then a flat bill hat. Yeah. They and the thing with that too, and I've heard other people say this, and I completely agree. If you hit someone with a bat,
game over.
Game over. Let alone a bat that has barbed wire wrapped around it, and then has some sort of bomb in it when you hit the guy and he kicks out. I'm just like, what are we doing?
And all right, Moxley's going to kick out, especially if what I say is true. He's going away for a while, so you want to give him a little bit of something so he doesn't look weak in the loss. Don't have all the other kickouts throughout the whole entire night. You have all these big spots. There's always somebody in every single match, whether it's Hangman Page, whether it's Matt Jackson, whether it's Sting or Darby Allin. There is somebody kicking out of something incredible in every single match, and it dulls it by the time you get to the main event. So if you're going to send Moxley away for a while, have him be the standalone kick out, because then it makes sense. But
they don't do that. That's not
they don't. No.
That they don't think that way. They just think Kenny Omega wants to make wrestling video games.
I want to be a tugboat.
And he must assume that they're playing Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, that there's a power bar at the top of the screen, and sometimes you get a little bit more power back. And until that power bar is on 0, you can hit somebody with 34 Hadoukens. Well, 35, that's what finally beats them after 35. 34, oh no, sir, I'm still alive. That's what they want to do. All of these guys.
Yeah.
And before we get to the ladder match, because I'll forget if I don't say it now, that was my problem with this ladder match. One of many problems with this ladder match. It was just a normal AEW match where people kick out of crazy moves all the time, except for there was 5 ladders in the ring. That's all it was.
Hot take of the night: the ladder match is the worst match I have on this card.
Wow.
Like I think the ladder match is, in terms of ladder matches, and if we're going Money in the Bank, stuff like that, because that's the style of this match, it's possibly the worst one I've ever seen.
Wow.
And it's not because the people in the ring aren't good, because there's a lot. I'm a big Scorpio Sky guy.
Yeah.
I think he was the right person to win this. They have a lack of diversity in people that are at the top anyways in AEW.
Or
he's
people,
the guy
period.
People, period. But he's the guy that you can build. He can talk, which is very rare in AEW. You don't have many guys that can talk. He can wrestle. But you Murder Hawk, not my cup of tea, but I understand why fans like him. You have Cody Rhodes, which later, once we get into this match deeper, I think it's just Triple H 2.0, even though he likes to make fun of that guy. All he's doing is burying people.
That's why.
Yeah. So you have a whole bunch of people, and you had some stars in the match, but you're just not – the match was so not put together well. It led to a night where things were very lackluster throughout the whole entire evening. I think if we're doing the whole like Meltzer, like thumbs up, thumbs in the middle, thumbs down thing, this would get a thumbs down for me. And not because the product in the ring was terrible, because I don't think it is terrible. It's just the storytelling's bad.
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't give it like a massive thumbs down before the end, and then at the end I don't know how I can't. Yeah. The show was just meh, like, all right, this isn't terrible, but this is nothing. Like, there's nothing here, and we're already so deep in the ladder match. We've murdered the last match enough. Let's go into that ladder match. For me, I told you my like grand takeaway on that thing. This was just a Wednesday night AEW tag team crazy match that had ladders in it. And the wrestling was bad in this. The wrestling was bad in this. You mentioned the spot earlier. The spot I was going to talk about in here is Ethan Page is the mystery guy. I've heard of this guy. Who's Ethan
Page? I have never heard of him. And I'm not like a regular, just like average viewer.
Right.
I've never heard of Ethan Page.
Okay, I've heard of him. I've never seen him wrestle because I stopped watching Impact years ago when everybody else stopped watching Impact. So I have not seen this dude. I don't know anything about him. But I do know right now in this building at this current time, we had Diamond Dallas Page, Hangman Page, and now Ethan Page are all in this building. But he had a spot where he dropped Scorpio Sky on the edge of the ladder, face first, like hit his eye. And I assume he was supposed to pick him up and launch him onto the ladder where the Murder Hawk was in between the ladder.
Yeah. And he was waiting there forever.
Meanwhile, yes, he just sat there waiting and looking right at him the whole time. Well, he goes over, kicks him, picks him back up, and then launches him. It was bad. And there were numerous things. And there, another shot at Vince here in this match. It was the grab the brass ring instead of the Money in the Bank briefcase. You had to grab this giant, look like a freaking floaty that you use in.
It was a Sonic the Hedgehog ring, man.
Or a
Sonic Sega Genesis.
Yeah, or a Sonic the Hedgehog ring that you had to grab. Or, somebody said it looks like a giant bootio hanging from, like, it was just odd. And I am happy that Scorpio Sky won, even though we have already seen him fight for this TNT title. But I would like to see Scorpio because I do think he has some talent.
Didn't he also challenge Jericho for the AEW title too when Jericho had the belt?
He might have.
So I mean, he's been on that stage before. But yeah, the brass ring, the irony wasn't lost on me, and the fact that you have Cody in there, who,
he was the one who said it.
Purposes, well, and he, in all intents and purposes, like he's in charge of the company. I know you have Tony Khan and every and all that jazz, but Cody is the one that runs the show, so he's going after his own brass ring. Doesn't make any sense. He's a face at the moment. It would make a hell of a lot more sense if he was a heel and all this stuff. He was like sort of like in on the joke. Like,
right.
So here's my big thing about Cody. And I like Cody. I have liked Cody ever since the dashing Cody Rhodes days in WWE. I think he's an immense talent. I'm the one. I think he actually has great skill. He's really good on the mic, and it's really improved. But the thing is, he puts himself, in my mind, above every single person in his company. He is the only one that enters out of the center. He never comes out of those stupid space cannons that they have on the side. He's the one wrestling.
And he's
Shaq
talked about that.
And he's not the one. He's not the biggest star in the company. If there should have been somebody who should have been in that Shaq match, it needed to be Chris Jericho, the actual star that you have in this company. But yet it's Cody Rhodes booked in that match. It's Cody Rhodes as the first TNT champion. It comes off everything that he complained about from WWE and the shot that he took at Triple H and the first All In, when he comes in with the sledgehammer and slams it down, which was totally a take on Triple H and how he buries everybody. And Cody is following right in those footsteps in my mind. And it's not a good look, but nobody ever seems to talk about it.
No, and he says things in interviews that you're like, okay, you sound a lot like you hate the things you hate right now. You know, you sound like the things that you hate. And he has talked about, oh, nobody's coming out the center. That's all me. That's all me. And they have a heel and a face entrance, and he says he doesn't believe in heels and faces anymore. So maybe that would be his excuse. That's why I come down the middle, because I'm shades of gray.
It's stupid.
Yes, well,
it's stupid.
I kind of agree.
Because he's not the biggest star in the company.
We're right.
Not even close.
And he does certain things too that are just extremely corny. Like when Darby beat him for the TNT title, he gets down on one knee and presents it to him like he's like some knight in shining armor in a Disney movie or something. And then he did the same thing again with -1, and just some of the stuff he does. Tonight, he had to be the one Scorpio Sky threw off to get to go to the top to win the match. Chris Jericho. These guys just pounded a 60-year-old man, right? And bloodied him up and da-da-da-da-da. They're supposed to be the bad guys. Yet you have the entire crowd singing his theme song every time he comes to the ring. And the talent. They were led by the talent singing his song. Why are they cheering? Why do they? First of all, why do they care? Why do the other wrestlers care? Heels and faces. The song's not that good that they need to be singing it out there.
I actually like the song, so I'll step you there.
But it's not that good that they need to.
I think Judas is a good song, and I think if I was in the crowd, I would be singing it back too.
But it's not
good
enough
your point.
That Lester needs to come from the back and go, oh, I hear Judas and Lester or what? Luther, excuse me. Luther comes running from the back and starts singing. So, yeah, if he's a heel, yet you have all these guys chanting along with him and doing whatever, you don't know what you're doing. You don't.
You have
know
nothing
what
but
you
have
are.
nothing but cool heel. You have nothing but cool heels.
And are they cool?
Well, they're supposed to be cool.
Right.
Like you have you have nobody as like, you don't have like a Miz, and I know you're not the biggest Miz fan, but you don't have anybody like that who's actually trying to get legit heat. You have everybody trying to get the cool heat. And as you guys talked about in the last Job Guys podcast, it's all part of the slow maturation into what WCW was, both good and bad. They're starting to do everything that WCW did in the late 90s and in the early 2000s, and it almost feels like they're accelerating through the process. Like we already had the 1997 NWO year. Are we approaching 2000, 2001 WCW already in AEW? I think it's a legit question.
Well, it's a double-edged sword because Tony Khan, the good thing about AEW is No scripted promos, no scripted all of this. The guys get to do what they want to do. They get to come up with a lot of their stuff, and it has to be approved, but then they go do it. Well, that sounds a lot like WCW too, with the inmates running the asylum. And you keep, and Tony, to his credit, will say, like he has said over and over again this week, that the exploding barbed wire death match was Kenny Omega's idea, and he wanted to do it right from the beginning, and he's begged and begged and begged to do this match. Well, it didn't turn out well, and there have been other things that have not turned out well because Tony has said, okay, go do it. And somebody's got to rein these guys in a little bit, man, because like what you said, and Jericho has mentioned this. He goes, we had a few segments in a row one week on Dynamite, 3 segments in a row where we had somebody trying to recruit someone to join their devil group. 3 weeks in a row. First, it was the Nightmare Family and Brandy, and then it was the Dark Order, and then it was something else. And bang, 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 the inner circle. And he goes, by the time we did it, they'd already done it the 2 previous segments. And like you said with the bats, I'm like, where are the checks and balances here, man? You know, where are they? And when you see 15 tope suicidas every single night, well, guess what? It becomes a right-handed punch. It's just a move. It's just a, that's it.
And if I see another Tequila Sunrise, I'm going to freaking turn the channel. Dude. And it's a great move, but like once John Cena did it, the move was dead. And now that you have Goldust doing it, it's I shouldn't call him Goldust, but like it's the move's dead. Like
Cena did it like 5 years ago too. Didn't he do it like against AJ like 5 years ago? Next thing, they have the announcement. Christian Cage. He came out. They had like a little countdown thing. He comes out. I got to say I was shocked. He was the very first name that I heard last week.
I immediately wrote it off. I was like, there's no way that's happening.
Yeah, me too. I did too, because he was just in the Royal Rumble. So I figured, okay, he's not going to wrestle full time, but they have something worked out. Edge is now in the main event of Mania.
You have Edge and Christian versus the head of the table, Roman Reigns, and his family. Like that seemed like it wrote itself.
Yeah, or just Christian has to fight Roman at the next pay-per-view before anything, or he fights Jey Uso, like whatever. I thought something here was going to happen. Obviously, that's not what happened. Kurt Angle gave everybody a little teaser yesterday when that was the guy I thought it was going to be. And he gave everybody a teaser on his Instagram where he was re-putting his clothes back on and all this. So people kind of thought it was him. No, that was a red herring. The way, again, Khan pumped this up. He pumped this up, and he doubled down again on every interview this week. He kept saying, they were like, is it really this big? And he goes, absolutely. It's one of my favorite all-time wrestlers. Guy. It's great. Well, obviously, but
he's been on the record before saying how much he loves Christian, and I'm a peep too, man. I love Christian. Like he is like one of like 2 wrestlers ever I've actually like drew a sign for to like try to get on TV. Part of that was calculated because I knew not many other people were going to bring Christian signs, so I was trying to play the odds. Thinking. But the fact, nonetheless, like I consider myself a peep, and I think he is great in the ring, criminally underrated. He is very good on the mic, but does he have the star power? That is going to be the big question that is answered over the next few weeks. And who does he come in and feud against?
Right.
Like, I just don't know who you put him up against. And then if you don't put him up against somebody like Chris Jericho, who he has history with, I think that would be a natural landing spot for him. But does that serve a greater purpose for the company where you have guys in their 40s battling one another? But then if you put Christian against somebody else who's a younger guy, like maybe Ricky What's-His-Face from the
Starks.
Yeah, Ricky Starks from the terrible Taz faction, which I think is not very good. You put him up against somebody like him, Are you really going to have Starks do the job for somebody like Christian? Like, it doesn't seem to add up in my mind. On paper, it seems to be great because I love Christian, but in the long run, they're bringing in all these vets, and I just don't know how they can use them effectively.
Yeah, see, to me, I like Christian too, but he is what he is. He is not a guy. He's not. He never has been. Now, maybe in another company he might be.
That face.
But wait a minute.
What can we do about his face?
I don't like his face. There's something about his face. But we have seen that as well.
That's what they should have did tonight. He should have came out with that blurred thing on his face. Yeah. That would have been funny. Because Vince wanted to do that back in the day.
Or he should have come out with the mask that Hobbs had on in the cinematic match for absolutely no reason. The thing, but we've seen him in TNA. We have seen him in a different
I didn't
company.
see it. I know he was there, but I didn't. I don't think many people saw it.
I saw it. I was watching then, and I like him. But there is something, and I'm not saying his face, but there is something where, like, he's really good, really good, really good, and then it just stops.
Yeah.
Like, it just, there's some ceiling there on him where it looks like he's going to blow up the steps, but no, actually, he stops right on step number 9. He's done. And
yeah,
I don't know that you can change that at 46, 7, 8 years old, whatever he is. And he is Christian. I mean, this is who he is. And I think you are right. Like, he has to come in and fight, like, main event right away, doesn't he? And he's not going to beat Omega. And
no, they should, and he shouldn't.
Jericho's in a feud. Like, he and MJF are going to break up here pretty soon, if not Wednesday. So he's in a feud. We've seen that fight, WrestleMania 20. What are they going to come out and talk? Is Trish Stratus going to come out next and they're going to fight over you stole her from me 17 years ago? Like,
I wouldn't be mad about it.
I would. I don't want to see that. Like, I
just like seeing Trish.
Well, yeah, that's never bad. We got the internets for that, though. We got the internets for that. I don't know. It's just kind of, and I've seen both sides. I've seen people say this was another wet fart. I've seen people say, like, how can you say that? You thought it was cool when he was in the Rumble. Now you think it sucks.
Yeah.
Well, the Rumble was a one-off, and you knew he wasn't going to win. This is a multi-year contract, and they're talking like he's going to be some huge thing.
The reason why, and maybe you are disappointed, I think, in this reveal tonight, is solely on the Big Show and how he sold it. Like, they should never have mentioned this whatsoever, or if they do, to say, hey, we have an announcement coming on the pay-per-view Sunday. Don't say it's a Hall of Fame worthy person. Don't even say it's a talent. Like, you can just say we have a big announcement coming on Sunday. Like, or have it as a total complete surprise, because, you know, maybe, I mean, I know I bought the pay-per-view almost solely based on this decision, because I'm still a little bit of a Punk mark. I knew it wasn't going to be him, but if it happened to be Punk tonight, I would never have forgiven myself for not buying the pay-per-view. So that's part of the reason why I bought this one tonight. But I'm still not disappointed, because I didn't have high expectations. I think Angle, that's an even worse decision. I think the only thing that could have helped this is if it was somebody like Punk or Brock Lesnar coming in tonight. Like, that's the only thing that could have lived up to the billing that both Big Show and Tony Khan did. I think they set themselves up for failure. Absolutely.
No, I totally agree. But the problem is, they've done it twice now, at least twice now, because they did this before. It's going to be a history-changing night tonight, and it was Pac coming back.
Other things that hurt this Christian reveal tonight is the fact that they brought older guys on, and I think this could lead to the next topic. It's Sting, right? You have Sting come on, who's in his 40s, and you're just
63 years old.
Yeah, sorry, excuse me.
63.
Christian's in his 40s.
Yeah.
Stinger is in his 60s, and you're just bringing on all these old guys What did you think of the match, the street fight tonight? I didn't have a big problem with it, but I was caught off guard by the cinematic display tonight. Did they announce that and I missed it, or was this a surprise?
No, it was just supposed to be a street fight, which actually wasn't in the street. It was in a warehouse. It was a street fight that wasn't in the street. It was in an empty warehouse that just happened to have a wrestling ring set up inside of it.
And referees.
And a referee. And then they fight all over this building, and then it ends with normal wrestling in the ring that was set up in the warehouse. All of that said, it's the best cinematic match I've ever seen. Now, that's not a very high bar set because the rest of them were straight dog crap, all of them. But I thought this was actually cool. I really didn't need to see.
They lost me right on the entrance where Darby Allin does his Marty McFly impression. All I needed was, where was Huey Lewis in the news? Man?
Exactly. And the guy with the Mountain Dew hat on.
It was, and like Stinger driving, like it was Sting driving the pickup truck, right? Like it's not like that kind of stuff just totally loses it for me. I'm not a cinematic guy.
No,
I don't think this is the best cinematic one, but I'm just not a cinematic
I hate
wrestling kind of guy.
I hate all of them, and I'm with you. As soon as I saw them get in the Lambo or the Ferrari or whatever it was that they rolled up in, I'm like, okay, what are we doing here? And then here comes Darby on his skateboard, and we're just going to sound like a bunch of old, like Nick always gets, the other job guy always gets so worried that we're just going to sound like the grumpy old men, like the two men sitting up top in the Muppets. But I don't get Darby Allin. Now he does some decent things. He did in this. He took some crazy bumps. But I don't know what's cool about him. I don't understand what's cool about him. I don't get his 5-second promos that are literally just him jumping off a bridge and that's the promo, or him with a flamethrower blowing up a car. I don't get that. I don't think that's cool. I didn't think that was cool. And then they get in the thing and there's a ring set up in the barn. I'm like, oh crap, this is going to suck. And I was surprised. Like, I liked the moves. I thought the moves were cool. When Cage picked up Darby in the suplex and carried him up a bunch of steps. Yeah. I was like, the guy weighs 12 pounds.
Yeah, but the internet blew up.
Well, but then when he got to the top of the steps, I still did end up going, that's cool. I mean, it's cool. But there were numerous things I thought were cool. The Darby getting swung into the windows. The window.
Very good spot.
Thought that was cool. I thought the Darby thing jumping off of 2 stories up through the thing, then into the pit. I thought that was cool. I thought probably
again where the thing should have ended. Don't get a 1, 2, 3.
It has to end in the ring. It's got to end in the ring, brother.
It's so
yeah. Well, that didn't make sense whatsoever.
Hogan's got to pose, brother.
Hogan's got to pose. Sting's got to hit the death drop, brother. Yeah. And I think there was probably some Sting body double usage in here. I don't know if you caught that at all.
I did not.
Yeah, I think bogus Sting was in there a couple of times. I think Cobra got a job for the night.
So most people are going to think this, like the cinematic match, was to protect Sting. My hot take, it's to protect the jobber Brian Cage and Ricky Starks and the other Muscle Mountain dude who I think are all Ricky Starks.
Ricky Starks, I think, is good.
He's okay. I don't believe him. I think his believability is the worst thing about him, though. But the other 2 Muscle Mountain guys, I don't think are any good. And I think this actually protects them more than it protects Sting, because we know Sting actually has wrestling ability. Even at 63, I think he's probably a better worker than the other 2. And this actually probably helped them look a lot better.
Yeah, well, they used to say when the bogus Sting would come out,
there's a bogus Sting,
and then real Sting came out, you knew it was real Sting because there was no question about the elevation of those Stinger splashes, brother. There was question about the elevation. They're 63 years old. We're not getting too high off the ground anymore. No, I thought it was fine. I really did. The beginning sucked for me, and then I got into it. I got taken out a little bit when Hobbs showed up. You got Taz on commentary saying they got a surprise, and then as soon as the masked man shows up, you know who it is. And Taz gives it away on commentary. Shivani, 25 years later, is still just like in WCW when Kevin Nash would come out with a Sting mask on and he's 7 feet freaking tall.
there is the bogus NWO Sting.
Who is it? Sting! It's Sting! The whole building knows it's not Sting, except for Shivani, until 5 minutes later when he takes the mask off. He did it again here. Who is that? Who is that? Who do you think it is?
The best thing tonight, and I have it written down in my notes right here, it's Hawk! Like, who cares?
Like freaking Andre the Giant just came back from the dead. I got that written down too, because he didn't sell Hobbs at all. He's just like, who is that? Who is that? Oh my gosh. And then Hawk shows up and Lou Thesz showed up. Like, what? This kid's 8. What are we worried about this kid for? He's not even a wrestler.
He's not throwing good working punches either. Like, who am I to say, call somebody out for their work rate? But it wasn't a good look.
No. And again, why does Hobbs have a mask on? Who's there to stop him? It's no rules. Who cares?
It's unsanctioned, man.
And if he does, well, then why didn't Hawk have one on?
Exactly.
What are we doing?
Like, why is he shirtless? Like, why did he just roll up without a shirt?
Not only did he not have a mask, he didn't have a shirt. That was odd. All of that said, it was the best match of the night to me. It worked.
Yeah,
it worked for me. There were things that were dumb, but
I think for me, the curtain jerker, Y2J and his tag match, I think was the best match of the night for me. But the street fight probably would be a second for me.
All right, so there's that, and let's go back because we are all over the place. We've gone from the last match to the first to this to this.
We're going order of importance.
Yeah, order of importance. Let's jump back to the beginning. First match of the night, if you don't count the pre-show, which Maki Ito turned the internet on fire for some reason. I don't know who this person is. I found out who she was by seeing on the internet. She likes to talk junk, so everybody likes her. All right. I mean, let's see what happens. I don't know anything about her.
I'm somebody who dabbles in New Japan Pro Wrestling, but I haven't in a while, especially since they don't have any TV rights. But
right.
I am not somebody who likes the amount of saturation they have with the Japan wrestlers. And that's not because the Japan wrestlers aren't good, because you have a lot of them that can go.
Right.
But when you bring somebody that has a language barrier, it's going to be harder for them to get over. And if you have 5 to 6 personalities, especially on the women's side, you're doing a lot of disservice, because it's going to be hard for the average fan to distinguish those wrestlers, right? And I think that's a lot that you had with the opening match there.
Well, here we go again. We're jumping around again. So let's jump into the women's match. Hikaru Shida against Ryo Mizunami. I have no idea who Ryo Mizunami is. I have zero clue.
Yeah.
I saw the bracket, and I'm like, I don't know who that is. And I didn't see the match the other night. I got up and left. Because I don't know who this is. And I watched it today. They're doing a package. Okay, I learned a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
She gets in the ring, and she's doing these slaps in the corner. And she's like, hit, and then she's just – and then she turns around and starts doing the Dusty Rhodes thing, and she gets clobbered. And I'm like, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
The end of this match, was pretty good. They had the final few minutes there were pretty good and nice worked. But again, I don't know these people. I am not invested, not even 1 ounce into these girls, like, because I don't know them. You can't just throw this girl on television and expect people to pay $50 to see it.
Yeah.
You just can't. Sorry. First match of the night, Young Bucks tag team title, MJF and Jericho. Thought this was the match of the night.
Yeah, I thought this was the match of the night. I love, they make the curtain jerker reference on Wednesday night.
Right.
And who's the first one out? It's Jericho. That is good on them.
Yeah.
It's very good. It's good storytelling. This needed to be the match that opened up.
Yeah, but that means the Young Bucks are also jerking the curtain.
Exactly, and I know it's counterintuitive and that, but I think it's a good enough reference. And if you don't think about it too hard, it works really, really well. I love Jericho and MGF at times, and other times I don't think it works as well because I think it's almost a forced relationship. I didn't like MJF really going into the inner circle. I don't think it's a storyline that works, but I'm somebody who's behind MJF, though I think he does have his faults. I think he's a little bit of a one-trick pony, but I think he has the biggest star potential out of anybody in that company who's not already established, and I think that's Darby Allin included. I think Darby Allin and MJF are the two young guys that resonate with the fans, and I think him rubbing shoulders with Jericho is going to do well, and he can work in the ring. And I think the match was set up well. Besides with the bat thing that I talked about earlier, Jericho shouldn't have hit him with the bat if it's not going to end the match.
Right.
The Bucks don't need, that rub where they're going over in that sense. So I didn't get that, but the match always works well. Jericho likes working with the Young Bucks, so I think storytelling is probably the best match of the night, and you have the moves to back it up.
Yeah, and the Bucks end up winning it. They're still the champs. Later on, MJF and Jericho especially said, hey, something's got to change here. We got to do something with our inner circle. We're going to have a inner circle war council on Wednesday. That entire promo, MJF just kind of like making faces and looking off, and then he says, yeah, you're right, something needs to change. So this is where The Rock kicks Farouk out of the Nation of Domination, right? This is where MJF takes over inner circle. How dare you, Meltzer? You sound like Meltzer now. MJF's the new Rock.
Well, I'm not saying like he is a new Rock, but this is the storyline they are mimicking, right? Because he has done his best to win over, Pride and the tag team, Pride and Powerful. He's done his best to win them over. They got rid of Sammy Guevara, who wasn't like up his alley. So I think that's definitely where they're going. Jericho, he's been a heel the last couple of years. I think we're due for a face Jericho turn because we haven't had it since his WWE days against Kevin Owens.
Yeah, absolutely. So the casino battle royal, I wrote the casket battle royal for some reason on my thing. Well, that tells you what I thought of that Freudian slip there. We already talked about this a little bit.
They have too much of them. They have too much of these.
Every pay-per-view.
Yeah. I didn't pay attention at all during this thing. And it's not because I don't like a lot of the guys that are in there. It's just I knew it wasn't – all you need to know is who won. You don't need to watch the moves or anything like that.
Yeah, so number one contenders, number one contenders are Phoenix – or excuse me, Phoenix and Pac. The only other – there's two matches we haven't spoken of so far. Miro and Kip against the Best Friends. They jump them in the back while they're doing their interview. And go ahead.
It should have went quicker. So like I think in a vacuum, if you don't see the opening spot, it's a very good match actually, I think. But the fact that they jump them in the back and they throw Chuck through the glass, like this should have been a mop-up job, get in and out in 5 minutes. That's the only thing I saw wrong with that match. Miro million bucks, future AEW champion. Like, if there wasn't a heel champion right now, I think he'd be competing for the title, and you put the strap on.
Wow. Well, I will say I got that written down. The last minute of this match, they booked Miro great. They built him like the monster that he should have been, not the freaking video game playing best man friend guy.
Yeah.
From
That's setting up his real life business, though. Like, that's what he's like. That's the whole reason behind this video game.
The inmates running the asylum. This guy comes in here and goes, I want to be the video game guy. Yeah. No, dude, you're a killer.
His move is the game over and everything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a bad spot in this, though, too, man. When Miro started killing Orange Cassidy, he has him in the ring, and he's just dealing on this guy for like a minute. Well, Kip was the legal man, and he's outside
checking on his girl.
To his girl, Penelope, because she got knocked off and into the barrier. So he's out there. Well, even the announcers get confused. They don't know who the legal man is.
I got confused.
Yeah, well, and then they made it confusing because they're like, well, Kip's the legal. Oh, no, but Miro. This is the problem, again, with this tag team division. That he's in the ring forever dealing on him. You don't know who the legal man is. The announcers don't even know what's going on. He then gets Kip. Hey, get back in the ring. Kip has to get back in the ring, tag Miro, then goes back out to take care of his girl again, and then Miro ends up winning the match. It's just...
Yeah. At that point,
it's just a mess.
At that point, act like the referee forgot the rule, and then he just thinks Miro is the legal man. He goes on the win, and then he can run it back Wednesday night, and then Miro destroys them. Like, it would have been easier. Yeah.
The only other match we have not talked about, Hangman Page against Matt Hardy.
Yeah.
The build to this was odd.
I don't like it, and I like Hangman Page. I don't think Hardy needs to be in that spot anymore.
No, and this is like his 7th gimmick in 7 months, and now he's Money Matt or whatever his name is, and he thought he was getting drunk Page to sign a contract to rip him off. Turns out Page pulled the wool over his eyes, got him to sign to give away his first quarter earnings, but then he gets in the ring and goes, hey, no, we're going to fight for your money too. And Page just goes, okay. So now
sounds like we have a money match.
Yeah, so now both of their money is on the line. Well, what was the point of you screwing with him and switching the contracts then? It doesn't make sense. Why would someone who just screwed you out of your money then go, oh, okay, I'll give you what you wanted all the time anyway? It was just dumb. The dunk contest started when this match came on, so I was half watching the dunk contest most of the time. More kicking out of finishes. Page kicks out of the side effect and the twist of fate.
Yeah, that's the big thing that I didn't like in this match.
People want to like Page. They have wanted to like Page from the inception of AEW. They've made numerous mistakes with him as well. Now it looks like he may end up with the Dark Order. This match ends with them helping him out, and then they had a big group hug at the end. I guess he tweeted something about making friends or something. I don't know what he said. They cracked beers. He gets the first quarter earnings from Matt Hardy, which I assume we are now going to get sketches of them spending money places that the Dark Order might get. Maybe they'll finally get ungeneric masks with Matt Hardy's money. That might be funny, actually. You know, I'm sure we're going to see something like that, or he's going to rack up a massive bar tab with Matt Hardy's money.
Yeah, it's not a perfect product, but it does get people like me I am dissatisfied with the WWE product. Right. And this is, I find myself not fast forwarding through it as much because it is different. But it doesn't mean it's necessarily good or as good as it could be.
Nick and I always say different does not equal good. Different equals different. Good equals good. And then people will say, well, if you hate it so much, what do you watch it for? Well, because this is the problem. They do have some cool stuff. They do have some good young guys. I'm like, oh, man, and they bring you in a little bit, and then they don't always execute. But there are things here that I'm like, that's sweet. Like tonight, perfect example how this show ended. Eddie Kingston, the guy who feud of the year, according to the Observer. Eddie Kingston comes down, tries to save his former best friend, Jon Moxley, from getting blown to smithereens like he's in reactor number 4 in Chernobyl. Moxley's in big trouble. He's got a pregnant wife in the crowd who's tweeting about everything. Eddie's going to save the day. It got him. I'm like, this is sweet. Okay,
Yeah,
this is
good
sweet.
storytelling.
And then 3, 2, 1. And it ruined. That is a perfect summation of AEW to me. Like, they get you, and then
Yeah. What you said is a perfect encapsulation of how they dropped the ball tonight, and hopefully it doesn't hurt them in the long run, because I can see this being the little snowball that just starts rolling downhill. And then you look back at this years later, it's like, oh, this is the point where AEW started missing the mark. Hopefully not, because the more wrestling, the better in terms of competition and storylines and all that good stuff. But it's not going to get any better if you have stuff like what happened tonight continue.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to kill them. But it's something people will never forget.
True,
but if you make another mistake, that's the other thing. It doesn't even need to be a massive mistake. Even little mistakes will bring that back up. And then another little mistake, it'll bring that back up.
Right, but where did WCW start going wrong? Where do people start putting the flag and like, all right, this is where things started to turn for the worse for WCW? It was the Diamond Dallas Page Goldberg main events. Was it Halloween Havoc?
I'd say way before that, it was Sting Hogan. Hogan. The end of that was the worst thing ever till tonight.
Right, but you had where the pay-per-view, they had a malfunction, right? They didn't book enough time, and they went long, and people didn't get to see the end of the pay-per-view. Yeah, that caught. And now, not that AEW is hurting up for money. At least I don't think they are. They have that new TV deal and all that kind of good stuff. So I think they might be turning a profit at this point. But it's that kind of stuff where it can snowball, and then you have another mistake after another. Like, this could be the genesis of AEW's downfall if they don't turn the corner.
You brought up a good point, my friend, because DDP Goldberg, Halloween Havoc, 1998, half of the country, their pay-per-view shut off at 11 o'clock. The match went like another 10 minutes. People didn't get to see the finish. I got to see the whole thing. I had no idea what was going on until the next day. So they had to give back a whole lot of money on that pay-per-view. You bring up a good point. With that finish, I think I want half of my money back after that finish.
Exactly.
And it's obvious they didn't spend it on pyro. So they can afford to give me like $25 back or something like that. Because they only bought a couple $100 things worth of sparklers from Kroger. That's all they did.
But just think how much more uninteresting this podcast would have been if we didn't have that wet fart of an ending.
Here we are, we've come full circle on this thing. I had a lot to say anyway, and but that just,
it's a natural talking point. Like, people aren't going to forget this for a long, maybe ever, but for a long
and
time.
Like you said, any little mistake now is going to bring up thoughts again of this massive mistake.
Yeah.
Well, you said this would be a thumbs down show for you.
Yeah.
As we wrap it up.
The storytelling's flawed. The matches, good, not great. And then you have the massive failure at the end. It's a thumbs down pay-per-view. And I was leaning towards thumbs down even before the end of the main event.
Yeah.
Like, at best, it would have been like a thumbs in the middle type of scenario for me. I think this is one of the weaker pay-per-views they've had.
Yeah. And I didn't think it was terrible. it's a thumbs down for me just because I was let down by a lot of things. And let down doesn't mean like I thought it was awful except for the end. It just wasn't as good as I was told it was going to be, which then made me expect it to be. And I didn't expect the greatest thing ever. I did not expect CM Punk. I did not expect Lesnar. I did not expect exploding. I didn't expect pieces of John Moxley to fly all over Daly's place. I did not expect that. But it didn't measure up. You know, there was only a few times in there that did. So for me, I was sold that this was going to be the greatest thing ever. Not that Tony Khan's going to come out and go, yeah, it's going to be okay. It's going to be average.
Yeah.
But so it's a thumbs down for me as well. Eric, glad to have you here, brother. We got to get you out here more often. We got a ton of WrestleMania stuff coming. We're going to do 2 podcasts a week leading up to WrestleMania. We got all sorts of topics. I would love to have you back here to join us to do that a couple of times. And anything else before we roll out of here?
Well, I'd love to come back on the podcast. I love talking wrestling. I'm a sportscasting free agent these days.
Hello.
And my wife doesn't like getting my sports takes nor my wrestling takes on a 24-hour basis. We have a new baby at home, so with her doing her thing, she doesn't want me whining about wrestling as well. So I need that release.
Hey, man, appreciate it. Eric Columbia, if there's anybody out there in the sportscasting world who is watching that, we got a free agent over here, and he does not want to be on Team Taz, though.
No. Don't want to be part of the I know you guys are the job guys, but they're the jobbers of AEW.
Wow.
Don't want to be part of that.
Wow. Okay.
It's not FTW, it's JOB. That's their acronym for their faction.
Well, there we go. Appreciate it, man. We're going to be seeing more of Eric for sure here coming up in the lead up in the next month to WrestleMania. Appreciate it, brother.
Peace.
Pleasure's all yours, Bucky boys.